So Chris, hello. We've been talking about this for years,
For
for
years.
years.
For years.
I'm so excited. Finally, we're getting this off the ground. Shit women talk about. I mean, we've had the handle for years. We've talked about this for years. We FaceTime for hours and hours and have amazing conversations. And now we're bringing it to the world. Like, this is very
Exactly.
exciting.
It's
Very
very
exciting.
exciting.
I think we should let the people know who we are. So I'm Jennifer Phillips, and I know this lovely woman, Chris Adams, from my very first agency working in the professional world. We met in Houston, Texas, and our relationship has evolved over the last 10 years in such a beautiful way. And now I'm living in Canada, and she's in Portland. And yeah, we have FaceTime conversations all the time and think, why are we not inviting other people to join us and talk with us? So that's why we're
So
here.
that's what we're doing now. That's why we're here. We have all of these conversations that last for hours and hours and hours, and we then wind up having additional conversations with other friends and bringing them into the fold. And we're hoping to do some of that along the way here as well. And I'm excited that that's where we are. And I'm excited that, from the very start of our friendship, where we're like working at a weird job and both got laid off on the same day and that was what,
10
almost,
years ago.
yeah, it's 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago. I think we met
Yeah.
10 years ago,
Mhm.
but we departed our first adventure together probably 8 years ago. And man, I think we've both been like three or four different people since then. So
Absolutely.
it's time for us to unleash our wild into the universe, I think.
And, and
We're
we
doing
still
it. We're
liked
doing
each
it.
other. We still liked each other throughout all the different people that, we are.
I
Good,
mean,
bad.
we like each other more now.
We
I
like each
mean,
other
you were,
more.
yeah,
I was a
you
little
were,
iffy on you at first.
I was iffy of you at first. I think,
We were both like, I don't know.
yeah, I think it's been beautiful. A couple years ago, I think you had a coach reaching out to people in your life, asking them about you. And
Yep.
I remember telling her, I was like, when I first met Chris, the way that she gave compliments just
Yep.
really it was sus. It was sus to me. I did not trust it. But as I've gotten to know Chris, I'm like, this is genuinely like who she is. Like the way that, she would be like, you're such a rock star. You're amazing. I love having you on my account, this, that, and the other. And back in my super unhealed days, I'm like, red flag, get away from that woman. She is not being real. And so
At the same time, I'm like, what is wrong with you that you don't see that you're such a fucking rock star? Because I sent you, like, the day that I knew that we were meant to be together was when I was like, girl, I've got a problem with this thing that's happening. I've got all these boxes for this account that have to go to this thing and that have to be like at this like whole event, and they're lost at the airport, or and you're like, I got you. I don't know
yeah.
where I'm going, but I'm gonna go find those boxes. I'm like, okay. And I think I still have a picture somewhere of you, which we've had to find that. I know I have this
Outside of a hotel or something.
outside of a hotel with
Yeah.
boxes stacked up to the top of your head, being like, that's right. I
I did
handled
this.
that. I did
Yes.
this. And I'm like, look at that. And you were all of what?
22,
Two?
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
22.
So you were
Um,
22. I was 42.
yeah, yeah.
So
So I mean, I think that's what makes this also beautiful. It's like the dynamic between our brains, right? So like like back in the day, I was a little bit more rigid, a little bit more project managery, which is good because I was a project manager, but, and you're just like this
a little more rigid.
a little more rigid, just a little,
So was
and,
I. And so
you
was I.
know, but you're this creative, beautiful spirit, right? So like I think the balance generally has been really nice of like a driver and a thinker. And as we've evolved, we've gained skills in both areas. And so
And
that's
not
been really
everybody is
great.
a rock star in my book.
Yeah, not everybody.
Showing
Uh,
up as a rock star. You didn't know that you were the only one getting a compliment.
exactly. I was like, you know what? I don't know about this. She probably hands compliments out like candy. I can't trust this. And to be fair, back then I didn't know how to receive compliments in any shape or like way. So, it is what it is. But I think now it's just different, and part of the beauty that is our friendship is the generational gap as well.
Yeah.
Me being a millennial and you looking like a millennial, but but not being a
I don't know about
millennial.
that, but
I mean, we'll eventually.
mess. I'm proud of
Well,
my
you
business.
should be, but we'll get into us sitting at bars back in the day and you getting hit on by younger men than me. It's the skincare routine I'm sure we'll end up talking about.
We'll be talking about the skincare routine. We'll be talking about boys. We'll be talking about men. We'll be talking about men that act like boys. We'll be talking about food. We've got a lot of food conversations. I think that was a lot. Actually, I think we really connected over food because when we worked in the same place, you'd be like, "What are you eating?" And I'd be like, "Well, I made this last night." And you were like, "What do you mean you made that?"
I'm a little
And so,
baby.
you
I'm a
know,
little baby. I don't know how
you
have
know,
how have I survived feeding myself for so many years.
oh,
So,
well,
you know,
I
you
think
can
you've
you can share.
grown in so many ways. You used to not like your food to touch, so
Yeah, that's the autistic safe foods in me. Um
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just really excited that we're getting started, and I think we'd be remiss to not mention how we are getting started. Our lovely friend Melissa, I also acquired, I like to say, in a work setting. Most of my close friends have come from work in some way or another. Um, and we were chatting one day, and she was like, "I like the sound of this. Let's make it happen." And I think at the stage of life that we're both at right now, we're going through a lot of changes, and I think that'll be beautiful to talk about in future episodes. But having someone like Melissa to kind of help produce this, and hopefully she'll pop
Absolutely.
in and out
Yeah,
in episodes, but that's just absolutely invaluable. So we wouldn't be here without Melissa,
we would
and
not.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, Jennifer was so awesome with Melissa. She was like, "So Melissa likes our idea and wants to work with us." And I'm like, "No way. This is amazing. Really?" And then Melissa and I had a great conversation, and Melissa was like, "I'm a fan." I was like, this could not be more perfect.
And
So
here we are.
I think that the diversity of our experiences and the lives that we have that we're bringing to the table, full and vulnerable and open, is where we are currently, and ready to share, ready to have those conversations together and invite you all into them. So
Yeah. And I mean, should we give a quick background as to who we are outside of each other, like our general backgrounds? Should we
sure.
dive into that?
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
Yeah, so originally from Houston, Texas, and I grew up low income. My mother owned a gay men's bar. So my upbringing's a little bit different than a lot of people. My mom always made sure we were in the right neighborhoods, so I was going to the schools with the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor. So that was an interesting dynamic for me growing up. I was the first in my family to go to university, and figured it out all on my own. And that was a lot. And then I chose to go into a marketing and advertising field. And that's kind of where I met Chris. And since then, I've been here, there, and everywhere. I lived in Houston, I lived in Dallas, and decided I don't want to be in America anymore. So I moved to Canada, and that's where I am currently. But now I'm like, I don't want to be in Canada anymore. So my goal is to leave here and head to DC. And I think over
Yeah,
the last five
yeah,
years for me personally, like I've been able to ground myself and learn so much about myself and heal and adjust the narrative about myself. And I think that I've had just a personal a personal journey that I hope that, what I've learned and what Chris has learned can really help people going through similar things. So that's why I'm happy that we're here to share our diverse life background experiences and hope that people can connect with us and we can make a little community.
I know. That's so
Yeah.
good. Ready for me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So because I think that similarities in our background were where we really connected. So we started off with the work thing and we went into the like, playing with boys at bars and you know but then I think when we started having real conversations because I grew up, on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which is about an hour and a half outside of New Orleans. Both of my parents are professional musicians. My father was a jazz musician and played all over. Both of my parents also were teachers. And I grew up in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and there was a lot that I loved about that. And there was a lot that was a lot of challenge for me because I grew up the poor kid in a very wealthy community.
Yeah.
And, so Jennifer and I were like, oh my God, that was your experience. That was my experience. And, I had, in fact, Jennifer and our friend Amy, who Jennifer connected me to, Jennifer and Amy were here. Jennifer came to visit and they were like, oh my God, Chris, we watched the Crawdad show, the Crawdad Girl movie, and you were like, "Oh my God, you're the Crawdad Girl," because I literally grew up on the bayou.
Yep. You're the crawdad girl.
I grew up the weird girl, the weird girl behind the Al Capone house in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, on the bayou. And so, with the musician parents, and Dad, when I was a baby, Dad was in the house band at the Playboy Club on Bourbon Street, and Big Daddy's Topless and Bottomless. Yeah. And my mom's relatives would be like, "Oh my God, how can you spend that dirty money?" And my mom's like, "That dirty money buys diapers just like the clean money does."
There
You
you
know?
go.
And so those real conversations that got in deep with our family and our family dynamics and our sibling relationships and
Oh, yeah.
relationships with we just had a big old convo about moms this morning because
Moms.
Jennifer was my girlie that when my mom had me all a little dysregulated this morning, I'm like, girl, gotta wanna have a little chat because guess what? It's throwing me off. So
Yeah, Chris is learning how to be okay with anger, and I
yeah,
am learning how to be okay with all the other emotions. Like anger was my like mainstay, grew up very comfortable with that, knew how to deal with it, knew how to exude it, little angry little human. And it's like from an emotional standpoint, we're probably pretty opposite in that way, right? Like you call me because you know that I'm the one who's going to
right.
allow you to sit in your anger, and I might tell you to be a little bit more angry. Like your version of angry is my version of like relaxed, I think. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
seeing
for
the
real.
evolution of how we can experience and feel comfortable and move through our
Yep.
emotions is also something that I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
talk quite a lot about, you
And
know?
it's something I think that you and I talk about so often, and it's so valuable.
Yeah,
And where we can, like what's the result of not being angry?
right,
What's the result of being too angry? And both of us are sitting in places where we've learned how to manage that a little bit better. I say a little bit better, still learning.
yeah.
Um, and Jennifer's like, "Yeah, this is mad. This is mad today. I used to be madder." Um, Echoing the voice of my therapist as well.
Yeah.
My therapist is like,
Well,
"I'm madder. I'm mad for you."
I know that one of like my personal favorite concepts is ruinous empathy, right? Like having too much empathy in life can really be not
Detriment.
good. And I think as you're navigating life and your emotions and chatting with friends or coworkers or whatever, having ruinous empathy for me personally is more destructive, right? We should be able to move through our feelings and feel safe in that. And I love how the world is evolving. But yeah, ruinous empathy for me is no bueno. We have to let the things happen.
Yeah,
And just because you understand something does not mean it's okay. And it doesn't mean that
that's
you
right.
have to have it in your life. So having people that understand that, and we're not the toxic positivity gals. We're
We are not
the
the we are not the toxic positivity gals, that's for
yeah.
sure. And part of the generational thing with me is that with anger, you got to be in a place because of a 20-year gap in
Hmm.
maturity of the world, I guess, in some ways,
Yep.
because I grew up in a world where anger did not serve me. If I was
Right.
angry, I was going to be hit, I was going to be isolated, I was going to get fired from my job, I was going to have my relationships ruined. And so instead of being angry on the outside, was just angry on the inside. And you would die because I would do something because, you would fuck around and find out. But I would always look great doing it. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
is that how you're going to do it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay.
watch that and see what
I'm going to
happens.
watch that, see what happens.
I mean, I think when you say serve me, like it depends. Like I think something that I learned in therapy is that every emotion is in service of you, right? So anger was my protector, but it wasn't serving me, right? Like I think over the last 15 years, specifically in the last five, um, learning that yeah, anger is a shield, but in my life that was necessary to protect me, and like acknowledging where you are in your life and in your journey and your healing journey and your relationships, like it's going to evolve, and having compassion for yourself, knowing that you did what you did with the tools that you had when you had them, I think is a huge theme in our friendship and like how we move about in the world, because yeah, we
Yeah.
we are that if anger is something that protected me but was something that wasn't going to serve
Yep.
you, then that's the way it needed to be. But
Yep.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of times in my life where I'm like, you know what? If you could just learn how to shut up and just let it happen. But I think that's my cocktail of neurodivergence. I just can't. And that's something I have to accept about myself. So I think generally we're the people that we're learning how to accept who we are, give ourselves grace,
Yeah.
compassion. We're growing and evolving together, and we've seen so many sides of each other, and we've incorporated a lot of different types of people and situations into our life, and we constantly learn from each other. And so yeah, I think that's the beauty of this. I hope that we get this going. I hope we have consistency with it, because I personally learned so much from you, and I know that you do from
I
me, and
have every day.
everybody should have
Well,
these types of
wonderful.
relationship.
So good.
Yeah.
And
And I know,
we've been very vocal about our want, desire, and intention that we've
yeah,
set around our friendship,
yeah,
and making sure that we vocalize the things that I think in the past, probably both of us, would have had relationships where we had said, "Oh, that person did something I don't like. Well, they're just dead to me, and I'm out."
right. Which,
And
to be fair, sometimes that's necessary. So,
that is
I'm not,
totally necessary.
yeah, well, I'm not one that's gonna keep something around that's no longer serving,
Yep.
for sure.
Well,
I know we'll get into the releasing of friendships, of boys, of family
yep,
members, for sure, because
absolutely.
um but I think the power is in like the relationships that you don't want to lose, like having conversations about your needs and expectations and allowing people to show up for you or not. I think is something that we both learned together.
Yep.
Um, and that'll certainly be a theme with what we talk about throughout.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, of course, like we would be we would be silly not to mention that we're both highly interested in systemic oppression. And basically, all the time, every conversation we have, it comes
Every
down to
does.
how did the patriarchy affect this? How does systemic racism affect this? How does, like, it all comes down to that.
Capitalism.
Capitalism, like all of it. So, generally, I think that's gonna be a big theme for us.
I
We
mean, it's
have it all tied together.
like, and I think that we said earlier this morning that like it really does tie back to there's a Christianity part, that there's a religion part that is a deep well in that as well. And the history, background, and expansion of what that looks like connected to
Right,
politics and religion and patriarchy and all of the things and how that's connected, and how it weaves itself into your friendships, your love, your romance, your friends and family. It just is. It's we're, I think, finding ourselves in a place in the world where these conversations are so important if you can have them with people who you love and respect and can have discourse with and figure things out with.
right.
Um, and um, and I think that over the course of time, some of that started in a way, and I'm going to circle back a little bit to the fact that we started at a job where we, both of us, thought that we were starting work at a job that was going to be part of our purpose driven journey
Right.
of, of doing something good in the world. And the disappointment that both of us felt when that did not happen. And the interesting things that have come out from that journey that I don't regret. And I'm really happy that we had that experience for multiple reasons. One, that the best thing we got out of that job was each other. And
Mm-hmm.
two, we got a lot of what we didn't want. And we got a lot of how to choose things and call bullshit on stuff like in people's faces. And
Right.
now both of us got laid off basically for that because we were the loud girls in the room. And we've now had multiple opportunities where that's looked like that. This is back to my history a little bit, since I realized I need to circle back to that, is that I have I did grow up in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Parents, New Orleans, lots of music. But my grandparent, my uh, uh, four generations of musicians on the side of my dad's side. And my mom was a classical pianist. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to art school." And my parents were like, "No, no, do better, not art school." And that led me though to being um, a creative, a creative marketer, and working in the brand strategy world for such a long time, 20 plus years. I've been a brand strategist and a creative director, and I've had two 10-year plus long businesses where we focused on, culture development and the brand building based on purpose driven work. And what Jennifer and I basically, both of us in many ways, came to a place where I think that we were like, we want to do something purpose driven, but we want to be more purpose driven about people. And that's been a really nice thing for me because I have recently closed my last business and really want to focus my goals and my intentions on helping individuals and supporting people who are doing this work around like the storytelling of what is making the world a better place. So I think that that weaves itself in every single thing that we talk about. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we can do that together.
And I think both of us have that passion of purpose. So, like, I started in the creative space for a different reason. For me, it was a sense of security. Like, I knew that okay, so this is a job that I can do. It's a good paycheck. Like, we'll move on from there. And I found myself in my career just really trying to better the organizations that I was in, right? So like,
Mhm.
what's happening with the people? What's happening with the processes? What's happening with the tools? And how can we increase the actual culture of the place? Not what's stated on a website, but what, how are these people connecting to one another? And when I moved to Canada, I did a little bit of a pivot and I moved full time into that work, right? Like organizational consulting and
Yep.
helping cultures be successful and moving strategy from page to execution. And I found a lot of passion there. But through that, um, that connection thing is a beacon for me. So being a connection coach and helping people have better conversations with each other, have better conversations with their family, their loved ones, um, their lovers, that's been something that's also
Yep.
been pervasive. So I think we both have that kind of higher level purpose of how can we help the world around us to experience life better, right? And
Sure.
we know so many wonderful people. We have diverse backgrounds. We have friends from all walks of life.
Life.
And I think that this space, it's going to really allow us to spotlight those people that have been so powerful within our own journeys, people that we admire, that we kind of like fangirl. Hopefully we can be like, okay, we've been like literally fangirling you for years. Would you like to come on our little
We would
podcast?
like to talk about
Um,
stuff.
yeah, even if like 10 people listen, would you like to come and share with those 10 people?
Exactly.
Because I think my personal motto is like, it's all a snowball. Like, if I'm
Oh,
helping one person connect better with themselves or their company or their life,
absolutely.
then they're going to then take that and implement certain practices within the rest of their relationships. So, yeah, like I'm just so excited that we have the opportunity to do our little girl chats and bring our FaceTimes to the world and also bring our friends and kind of like esteemed guests because all of the people we know, they're just like absolutely impressive humans that should not be kept
Agreed.
uh, away
Underneath,
from the
underneath
world.
in little glass boxes.
Yeah, we're gonna crack all the glass everything. We don't like glass over here,
We know.
So
It's true. Breaking some
yeah.
stuff.
But yeah, so
Well,
I'm super excited. I'm happy. I'm happy we're
yeah,
doing this.
me too. And I think that that personal joy part that you and I have both focused on so much of like bringing our own personal joy into the forefront of our lives, and helping other people do the same. We love talking about an orgasm. We love talking about a vibrator. We love talking about
Hello.
how
Yes.
to bring more of all of that, so don't get it twisted. We like talking about some business stuff because we've got
Yeah.
that in common. But
That's our origin story. We are spicy. We are spicy, neurodivergent, crazy
yeah,
girls
yep,
with crazy friends. We also have diplomatic friends and vanilla friends and whatever. We've got all kinds of friends. So
yep,
helping people see that no matter how you are exactly the way you need to be. That's the purpose of this podcast, and we're so excited to be here and share that with the world.
absolutely.
So yeah,
You know
like
what?
with that.
So you just hit on something, and let's talk about that real quick. So both of us are neurodivergent. Both of us, I mean, have lots of very different things that we're dealing with on that perspective,
Yep.
on that arena. But like that's another thing that we wind up all of the time, that is most of late such a
Yeah.
hot topic amongst us, as
And
I'm
a hot
late
topic in the world, right? Like
hot
it's
topic in the world.
happening. We've got
Like,
it all comes back to patriarchy, right? Women are underdiagnosed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll definitely be talking about that. We'll be
yep,
talking about literally everything, taking the veil off of the conversations that, people may have just one relationship that they can have the safe space with or none. Like I think especially through connection
yeah,
coaching, like
yeah,
realizing
yes,
a lot of people don't have the connection that we have, the depth that we have. So if we can showcase that of what the beauty of our connection is and the connections of the people that we know in our life through guest experience, I think that can be super powerful. So I'm
Agreed.
just really excited. And I think with that, we should
Excited.
let the people go. And hopefully, a little bit of this background will entice whomever to check us out for episode 2. Check us out on social media. We'll be getting that up and running, and
Good.
want to hear from people. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's build this thing.
Let's build it. Let's do it. I like it. Thanks,
Wonderful.
my
All
friend.
right.
Thanks,
I
my
love
friend.
you.
Love you.